Alrighty. So again, this is the first webinar in the Culture for Change preview series. So originally, Culture for Change was a one-day in-person conference to be hosted in June. Given COVID's rapid evolution, we knew three things. One, we couldn't host Culture for Change in person in June, but organizations, leaders, and professionals still needed this content. And then we needed to create a series of content to support community, including you all, long prior to June. That's where today comes in. We also pivoted Culture for Change to a 4-day virtual conference that would allow attendees across sector to best learn practices around leadership, management, and organizational culture, all still applicable while working in the virtual world. To stay updated on Culture for Change news, such as registration dates, speakers, please complete the interest form linked in the chat box. So before we get started, let's go over a couple norms. In your Zoom window, you'll see a chat and Q&A function. Chat is to be used in a drop-in reaction, respond to prompts, find links, and share best practices. Q&A will be for questions for me to answer or to put out to the general group to answer at the end. Also, throughout the webinar, you'll see various links dropped into the chat by my team member, Dina Bancoli. She is playing the role of Vanna White. I so appreciate her. And she will be assisting with providing links and answering any logistical questions throughout the webinar. Thanks, Dina. Second, make sure that your chat is being heard. So to make sure that your chats are going to everyone, make sure at the bottom where it says to, it says all panelists and attendees. So you want to make sure you're not talking to yourself this whole time and thinking no one is responding to you, right? So my name is Alyssa Williams. I'm the Education and Community Initiatives Fellow at Strategic Community Partners. I have a background in psychology, women and gender studies, social work, and education. And my favorite quarantine snack is Oreos, specifically regular and golden. So I'd like to get to know you all a bit. Can you take a minute and in the chat answering the following questions? Your name, your organization or area expertise, and your favorite quarantine snack. Ooh, kettle chips. I love kettle chips. Apples. Okay. No judgment. You know what? Apples, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Ooh, M&Ms. Reese's eggs. Yes. Kiwis. Ooh. Okay, these are some like great snack suggestions. And on my weekly grocery trip, definitely got to pick up some. Ooh, Oreo ice cream and pretzels. That's sweet and salty and savory. Ooh, yes, wine. Okay, yes, wine. I appreciate it. The real quarantine snack. Okay, awesome. Thanks, everybody. Y'all are really about to make my weekly grocery trip very exciting. So today's session, this is the flow. So we're going to talk a little bit about being in grace while in quarantine. I'm going to share some tips around mental health and being physically active. We're going to ponder about life beyond quarantine, do some Q&A/co-learning, and then I'll share how you can continue to engage with strategic community partners. So first, before we even dive into the content, let's take a moment. So as a group, I want everyone to breathe in through your nose for a count of 4, hold it for 7 seconds, and then breathe out of your mouth for a count of 8. All right, and I'm gonna count for you. So everybody ready? Okay, let's go. So breathe in through your nose, and then hold it for 7, And then out through the mouth. Alrighty, let's get started. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. Love yourself first, and everything else falls in line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in this world. If we give our children sound self-love, they will be able to deal with whatever life puts before them. Feeling good is not frivolous. It is freedom. The bottom line here is that self-care is not optional. These folks all share ways in which caring for yourself is important, not only for you, but for those around you. Grace. Disposition to act, disposition to or enact, or instance of kindness, courtesy, or clemency. This applies to how you interact with your community, how you should interact with your family, and most importantly, how you should interact with yourself during this time. As I talk about ways to maintain mental and physical health, remember to give yourself grace as you apply or maybe don't apply some of these techniques. This isn't a time to be highly self-critical. Give yourself some room to not be perfect. As a planet, we're going through some things right now. It's unrealistic to think that you can exist at the same levels of productivity that you did prior to COVID. As the doggy here says, there's no need to be the best, only kind and good. So let's get into some positive mental health. So before you go into even implementing anything, let's make sure you got the basics covered. So first, make sure to continue any professional health recommendations that you received prior to this. So take your medications, make sure you switch all your appointments to virtual, things like that. Mental health doesn't stop in a quarantine. Second, make sure all of your basic needs are covered. Are you drinking enough water? When was your last meal? When did you get some sun? What you might think is a mental health issue may just be your body reacting to not having its basic needs met. As someone who dealt with depression and anxiety, I personally know that it's easier than you think to forget to eat for 7 hours or drink 3 cups of coffee for like 1 ounce of water. So check in on yourself. Even not getting enough sun for several days can negatively affect your mood. All Michiganders, you know how it feels after a long winter and you're just waiting for the sun to come out. So tip, if the sun isn't out, get a lamp and point it like directly at you. Or if it's like a lamp with a shade, turn it on and have it really close to you. It's not sunlight, but the extra light will help your mood and productivity. Also, adding a little color to your space can help in similar ways. Yellow is like colloquially known to help improve focus and mental stability. But really, remember that it's okay not to be okay all the time. As long as you're not thinking of harming yourself or others, sometimes you just have to eat your snack of choice, maybe that bottle of wine, and give yourself a moment to let the feelings pass. Okay, so here are some practical tips. First, connect with others in whatever way feels best for you. So maybe that's a virtual happy hour. Maybe you hop on House Party, which is an app where you can FaceTime your friends and play games. Maybe you host a Netflix party and binge a movie. Anything, any way to connect with others and get some of the isolation down. Speaking of isolation, podcasts, webinars, and TED Talks, right? So this is gonna sound odd, but like especially if you live by yourself, podcasts definitely help you feel less alone. So having a podcast playing in the background will make it feel like you're sitting in on the conversation. Or if you're someone like me, you want to argue back, you are in a conversation. So develop a passion or hobby. And I mean like a real hobby, not just something that you feel will look good on a resume or you can brag about, but something that actually makes you happy. Meditate. To quote someone's grandma, sit down and be quiet. Let yourself have some peace and just let your body take a moment to rest. Read. I personally encourage fun novels that allow for a little escapism, a little mess, a little humor. But really, whatever you want to read. If you want to read the encyclopedia, awesome. But whatever that make you feel good right now. Play a game. So Wordscapes has been a foundational part of my quarantine time. So those little games that you like overlook because you never had time? I did it too. Maybe download them. Those Sims that you haven't checked in on for about 2 years? Make sure they're still alive. Maybe pay them a visit. Another fun, like very age-appropriate game if you have kids is the Nancy Drew series by Her Interactive. It's like super nerdy, but it's basically like a mystery game, and you solve puzzles, so you really get your mind going. And also, Nancy's games are like tend to be at different locations. So like one is in Paris, one is Hawaii. So while we can't travel, you can travel through Nancy. And last, light a candle. Really, candles and aromatherapy in general. Those strong, delicious scents. I have my blueberry candle like lit right now, FYI. They can 100% affect your mood. Like they can make you feel more mentally stimulated. They can make you feel focused. It just really depends on which one you like or what oil you use. Whatever scent gets you going. Especially if you put it in combination with like a good book or a game or like light a candle while you're in the shower. It'll do that double duty to really get your mood up. So my question for all of you. So in the chat, share some of your favorite things to do to keep your mental health going. Maybe some of your favorite podcasts, how you like to connect with others, some of your hobbies you're developing, anything that you think other people should know. Okay, yes, Naps. Mark, I feel you, Mark. Dogs, yes, love a dog. Yoga, yes. Turn away, yeah. Yes, sunlight, get that photosynthesis. We're not plants, but we're like plants. We need the sun. Meditation, baking, ooh, treats. Oh, a letter and a postcard. That's very cool. Oh, that's a really cool way to connect. Ooh, a podcast this past weekend with Theo Vaughn. Ooh. Ooh, yes, I love a good meme. Memes are what's going to get us through quarantine, in my opinion. Martin, yes. Music, yes. It's time for Rihanna to drop some new music. Side note. And Dave Chappelle. All right. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now into the physical health. And when I'm talking about physical health, I'm saying we're going to have some fun with movement, right? Calories burn, forget about it. We're going to feel good. We're going to move our bodies and we're going to burn a sweat. So here are some classical examples of fitness you can do while in quarantine. So you can do a virtual boot camp, go jogging in a non-populated area, work out with a personal trainer, or even do an old school workout tape, Billy Blank style. But you know what else is also some good fitness? Beating your significant other in Wii tennis or dancing to your favorite jams. Check out Club Quarantine on Instagram and other virtual DJ sets. Taking a leisurely walk. You can even interact with your neighbors from 6 feet away, of course. Or be silly with your kids. If you have been around small children from any amount of time, you know that playing with them can cause a sweat. So if training for a 5K feels good to you, do it. If learning all the new TikTok dances gets you going, that's perfect. Just move your body. Any movement that is safe and fun, do it. So someone already answered. They've been, 7 flights on a giant apartment building. My thighs burn for you. What are some fun ways that you all have been moving your body throughout this time? I saw earlier that some of you all say like you're walking dogs, you're doing yoga. Yes, the TikTok dances are a complete workout. Whew. Running. You're right, running can relieve some good anxiety. If you're a running person, go for it. Just dance on the Wii? Yes. I have Dance Central. So fun. Oh, awesome, a 10K goal. Oh, 10K steps. Walk with dog. Yes. Fortnite dances. Yes. Oh, that is workout right there. Okay. So thinking beyond the quarantine. So life will continue after this time. It may be different, but one day we will return to work. We will return to some form of our typical routines. But during this pause, use this time to rest, reset, and reevaluate. If you don't remember anything else from this time, remember how to find your inner joy. Remember what made you laugh like you've never laughed before. What gave you a sense of inner accomplishment? It may feel weird to experience joy while as a globe, we're experiencing such trauma and grief. But grief and gratitude can coexist. Find the inner light and let it shine unapologetically. Alrighty. So we're gonna hop into some Q&A time and also a share out. So I'm all here for like a co-learning space. So this is how we're gonna do it. So if you have a question, pop it into the question box, the Q&A, and I will answer it. Or if you want it to be put out to the large group, I can also read out for everyone else to answer as well. If you have a best practice or just something positive you'd like to share, so hit the raise hand function on in Zoom, and I'll see you, call on you, and then unmute you. All right, let's rock and roll. Let's see your question. Oops. Okay, so we have a question. Any free, low-cost resources for mental health care and counseling in Detroit, Michigan? Okay, so low cost and free. So I know United Healthcare were offering some free counseling um, through their system. I believe that was free. Also, I know that like a whole bunch of like for-profits are help sponsoring. I have to look up some specific ones. You can also try it out. Talkspace is not for free. It's not low cost, but I think you can get like a free trial that can help right now. Additionally, check out Psychology Today, and they have a psychologist like search function. It's almost like Tinder with psychologists. Like you can like go through like a directory and find a whole bunch of ones and see who match. And they have someone there who you can specifically like click sliding scale, so you can learn and see like which ones are free, which ones low cost, which one will work for you right now. I'll also say like after this webinar, we're going to send out like a follow-up email with different links as well as resources. So I'll be sure to like check out a couple low cost free resources for mental health care and put it in there. Okay, so practical tips for working from home. So like thinking about making a workspace. Okay, so one, actually like cut out office space for you. I'll admit that when I first started, I was like trying to work from my couch and it did, it did not work. So I actually got a chair, put up a little desk space, and I also put my workspace by a window. Again, going back to the sun part, sun is so important to like just keeping your mental health and staying focused and just getting the light. So that would be my biggest suggestion. Also, if you got any plants, toss it on your work area. Anything that kind of brings you joy throughout the day helps keeps you focused. And let me check the participants box. Make sure or that no one is being neglected. Okay, awesome. Thanks for your questions, you all. I will say before I switch from Q&A, I'm gonna ask you all another question. What's everyone watching right now? I know the classic answer, which is Tiger King, but outside of that, any good shows to share? Yes, Insecure. Yes. Little Fires Everywhere is so good as well. Oh my goodness. Kim's Convenience. Yes. Schitt's Creek. Yeah, it was so funny. A Stranger. Ooh. Oh, Self-Made. Oh yeah. I did a Netflix party with Self-Made. It was so good. For Life. Ooh. Altered Carbon. Ooh. I've heard good things about My Hero Academia. Okay. So we have another question. How do you help your kids through this time, especially as their only children? That's a great question. I would especially if they're like young children, like under, I would honestly like under 15. That's not like kids, but that like social emotional processing part. I would see how they're emotional reacting. So since they don't have that part of their brain where they can really say, I am acting this way because I feel anxious, you might have to do some putting together. So if you see your kids are acting angry, it might be anxiety. Or if they're getting fidgety, okay, maybe it means they need a little outdoor time. But that's more so the emotional part. In thoughts of explaining it to them, you might have to be honest and say what's going on. Obviously, put it in a child-friendly language, but being realistic, like, hey, as a world, we're going through a tough time. We have to change what we're doing, but at the end of the day, we'll all be okay. I will also say, like, this is a good time if you have the capacity, because I also know having kids like while you're at home working can be difficult. But if you do have the capacity, throwing them crafts, throwing those, get them involved in their own hobbies to kind of distract them. So kiddos have their own passions and loves and things that carry on to adulthood. So it might be a good time to get them started in that. All right, awesome. If there are any more questions, I am going to wrap us up. So, what topic do you all want to see next? So, like I said, this is going to be a series of webinars. What do you want to see? So, some of the suggestions are best practices for working at home, managing other teams remotely. If you have something else you want to see, type it in the chat box. So, I'm going to drop a poll for you all to actually complete. Thanks, Andrea, for dropping in a resource about helping kids. So Jennifer, if you see that, it's like right in the chat box. think we got just about everyone. Okay, great. I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll. So, best practices from working from home. Definitely understandable. As this quarantine is definitely extending, I think having the optimal home office is going to be a big thing right now. I also saw some dropped in the chat. Business and professional finances, yes. Keeping a team engaged, yes. Supporting your team during quarantine, 100% yes. So ways to keep in touch with strategic community partners. So subscribe to our newsletter. The link to subscribe will be dropped in the chat. Join the Conference for Change interest list. We'll be sharing out more nuggets as it gets closer. But again, it'll be July 13th to July 16th. Follow us on social media. So on Facebook and LinkedIn, we are Strategic Community Partners, Instagram, SCOM Partners. And join our next event. It's not a webinar, it'll actually be a panel on education. So we'll be talking more about how to educate yourself and educate your kids during this time. And then last, make sure you come to our next webinar. It'll be May 20th, Wednesday, same bat time, same bat place. So in a few days, you'll receive a follow-up email with all the links, as well as all the things, awesome things that you all shared in the chat box. I love a good co-learning space. And additional resources that you all can use for day-to-day life. So again, some folks dropped in things about getting kids through this time, but I'll be sure to look up some more things as I was asked, as well as free and low-cost resources for mental health. So thank you all for participating in this webinar. Stay safe, and don't forget to let that inner light shine through.